First Morning MMA Report is joined live via Skype with Jacob the Teddy Bear Heavlin out of Pura Vida in Milwaukee. Jacob, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. So I want to take some time and thank our sponsors, Heidledge Masonry, Plush Care, Jackson Yard Care. You have the right to a beautiful yard, and Kiss My Fist Medco, the absolute hardest hitting edibles on the planet. Jacob, tell us a little bit about your combat sports background and how you got into MMA.
So I've been wrestling since I was 9 years old, and I did like a little kempo and like a little boxing growing up, and yeah, basically, I just the way I got into MMA, I wanted to learn jiu-jitsu, so I went to this gym. They like open rolling on Saturdays, and then I was going with some of their fighters, and they thought I'd probably be decent. Well, they brought me in to like spar with their guys, like get rounds with them, like wrestle them. And so I started going during a weekday, and then after a while, I just started showing up. And it took about 2 years for me to get a fight. I had a lot of people back out, and then I finally went down to Missouri and got my first amateur fight. So
That's great. So recently you made the switch to Pure Vida in Milwaukee. What sparked that change, and how has that been working out for you?
um, well, I just needed like a change of pace. Like I could like most smaller gyms and MMA is really not that big in Rockford, so Jake invited me to basically just train in Milwaukee, and then I kind of wanted to move because I'm from Rockford, so I grew up in Rockford, so I just wanted to change the pace, and
Yeah.
Pura Vida is just stacked with good guys. Like everybody's good in that room, and everybody works hard, and so I just kind of just moved after my pro fight because I figured it'd be a good change for me. So
So you're living in Milwaukee now?
yeah, I live up here, and they do everything. Like I can just focus on training, and I don't have
Yeah.
to like find my own fights or anything like that. So
Yeah, no, I lived in Milwaukee for about 6 years, and I love the city, so I bet you're enjoying it as well. So you said before you have a wrestling background, but lately you've been knocking guys out, making them tap to strikes. Is there an area that you feel more comfortable in? Do you prefer being on the feet? Do you prefer taking guys to the ground? Tell us a little about that.
um, I guess it depends on the person, but for the most part, yeah, I like to grapple and clinch and kind of work from the inside. I could stand, but I prefer to just be on top and do my work.
Sure. So I spoke with Jake Clip yesterday, and he made a comment to me that stood out. He goes, "Man, listen, on Saturday night, just pay attention to Heavlin." And I go, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Pay attention to him." I go, "Well, obviously I'm gonna be watching him fight." And he goes, "No, no, no. Before he goes out to the cage, he like paces back and forth. He looks like a serial killer." And I go, "Okay." And he goes, he could be the most terrifying guy that I've ever coached before." What do you think about that comment?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of guys have the same like that they have the same thing. Like I don't think a lot of people actually remember their fights. So I don't know. I just kind of get ready like to go get in a fight. So I guess that's kind of how I prepare myself to get in there and get it done. So
Are you a guy that gets nerves still? Are you in the back nervous, or are you just kind of like I'm just amped and I'm ready to do this?
like like I don't know, like when they call you on deck, I just kind of want to get in there and just it because once you're in there, you're in there. So it's like then it's real. But
Yeah.
like right now I'm fine because like I mean we're not there yet. But once we're like in the cage and all that stuff and the day of the fight, that's when things kind of get real. But right now it's kind of just it's still not real. So
Yeah. So uh, obviously, he said serial killer, terrifying. Can a serial killer really be nicknamed the teddy bear?
I guess so.
uh, so you're fighting Jordan Sicer. He's a longtime veteran on the regional scene. What do you know about him as an opponent?
I mean, his record's not the best, but I mean, he only fights like game opponents. Like, I think every guy he's lost to, for the most part, did pretty well in MMA or is still doing pretty well. So I mean, he's game, and so I think it'll be a good test. Like I said, his record's not the best, but I've watched all his fights, and he comes to fight like he doesn't lay there. So.
Yeah, he's a big, strong guy. He's got a wrestling background. He's got power in his hands. What do you have to do in the fight to make sure that you impose your will on him?
I mean, I I guess I don't, we didn't really game plan for this. It's more just kind of, on the fly, but I mean, I'm just going to push the pace and do what I do. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've had a couple, I've had about 2 months to prepare for this. So, just basically been like kind of just sharpening everything up, like my takedowns and my striking and my footwork. So, just kind of work on some things and try to get in and out of there. So,
Sure. So you kind of talked about it just briefly now. Are you a guy that studies tape? I mean, do you watch your opponents, or do you kind of leave that up to your coaches?
yeah, I watch a little bit of it. I don't dig like too deep into it. Like I might watch it when I first like find out who it is, and then maybe like before the fight or like week of. But I don't really like dig in it too much. Because like I said, I like to dictate what happens. I don't really let them get comfortable in there to do what they like to do.
Right. So I think you have the highest ceiling of any heavyweight in the state. I've been following this for a long time. For the fans in Wisconsin that are just getting to know you or just hearing about you, what message do you have for them?
I don't know. Honestly, I feel like I'm in a good spot and I have a good team behind me. And honestly, I feel like I'll be in the UFC, here hopefully in a couple of years. So I guess just keep watching for me and see what happens.
Is there a goal that you want to achieve in the next year, or how many fights do you want to take in 2020? Because you said before, you've had a lot of guys, pull out on you, and I know that can be frustrating.
Yeah, I fought 7 times in 2018, and that kind of burned me out a little bit. Because I work full time, so
Sure.
and then I train all the time. But I don't know. Maybe like I guess it depends on the caliber. Maybe like 3 or 4 times, maybe a little more. Pure Vita is a like really active gym, so with fighting, there's a lot of guys that fight. So it's kind of whatever the opportunity comes up. I'll just kind of hop on it, but eventually, like I said, I do want to work towards more of that, like trying to get on a contender series or trying to get on, a bigger stage.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously LFA is a choice as well, or an
yeah,
option for you, and undoubtedly you'll get there. So this is gonna be your first time competing in Stevens Point, I believe.
this is my second time.
Second time in Stevens Point. Okay, so obviously you know that it's actually a pretty big fight town, and it's a big crowd. There's gonna be a lot of people there. Your match is heavily anticipated. Do you have any predictions for Saturday night and how the fight's gonna go?
I don't know. I want to get him out of there in the first round. Honestly, that's usually my goal. It's honestly nice to have 5 minutes to work. It seemed like when I was an amateur, you kind of had to like get in there and get it done. But now, you have 5 minutes so you can lay on him a little bit and do what you do. We'll do what I do, and yeah. But hopefully, first or second round, like TKO, maybe submission. That's probably what I'm looking for.
Awesome. I want to thank you for taking the time. I know it's fight week. You're cutting some weight here for joining us on the show. You're a guy that I've wanted on for a while now. Take some time right now and tell the fans where they can find you on social media and give some shout outs to your sponsors.
So my Facebook's Jacob Edward Heavlin. I post pretty often on there about the fight. My Instagram's Duh Teddy 2019. I post some fight stuff on there, and I guess mainly just shout out to Jake and Zach for kind of turning my life wasn't really going the right direction back home, so I'm glad I'm up here and starting new. Sponsor wise, I don't really have any sponsors, but but yeah, pretty much them guys, and then who shows up to practice and helps me out. So because it's tough to find big guys to practice with, so the sort of bigger guys come in and help me. I appreciate them. So
yeah, no, Jake and Zach have had nothing but nice things to say to you, and I know you got a big future ahead of you. Like I said before, we thank you for taking the time out on Fight Week to meet with us, and we look forward to watching you fight on Saturday.
I appreciate it.
You bet. Take care, bud.
All right, bye.